In this video, we're going to look at making an Excel version of our script. That's going to teach us about formatting, it's going to teach us about printing, it's also going to teach us about the way we can actually structure Excel so that way it's good for, let's say, colleagues, anyone you're working with, and maybe people you may not be sure you're working with and they just need to have some information about the document that you're sending over, or even yourself if you're using it yourself. And in this video, we're using this film script to be able to convert it into Excel as a pretext for what we're going to be doing. Now, what you're looking at here is a film script on the left-hand side and a comic script on the right-hand side. And you can choose which one you want because the process is exactly the same. I'm going to open up Excel by double-clicking on this icon here. And what I want to do is I want to put this window on the left side and put my browser on the right side. When I'm screencasting right now, we can only see one view. I have multiple monitors, but we can only see one view. So whenever you have one monitor, the best thing to do is to understand how to actually put them side by side without actually having to manually move them over like this and push this over like this, you see, like that. So if you're in Windows, the easiest way to do that is to hold down the Windows key and hit the right arrow button to push this window to the, hit the left arrow button to push this window to the left. And when you release, it'll pop up all your windows and then you can just press on the window you want to the right. So we have this window to the right. And it's a little off screen. I think you can still see this, but I don't think it's cutting it off at all. So we should be fine there. So we have these two here, and I'm going to start a blank workbook. This is what you see normally when you're dealing with Excel. However, we want ours to be able to be printed, and we want to know how it's going to look when we print it out for other people to read and to see, because we're going to make this into a script. We also want to make sure that all our pages are basically the same. What I'm saying is not the same text in there, but the same header and the same footer, almost like it would be in Word. If you open up Word, you get a header and a footer, and we want that same thing here in Excel. Because a header and footer, the main thing about a header and footer in any document is that you type it once and it exists throughout all the documents you create. So we don't have to keep on creating a title or keep on adding the page number. It'll automatically be placed there. And that's what we want here. So just in case you were not aware, the header is normally going to be at the top of the document and the footer is going to be at the bottom of the document, and it maintains itself throughout the entire document. While there are multiple ways we can get to the header and footer, for instance, I can go here to insert and I can insert a header and footer into my document by going into the insert as I did, and all the way down here in this menu you go here to the text group, and if I click on that you'll see I can add text boxes, header and footer, word art, signature line, and other objects. However, inside of the page layout view, which we want to be able to see the page layout view because that's going to show us individual pages instead of this large spreadsheet, it's automatically giving us the opportunity to also edit the header and footer while also seeing the pages in in the layout, how it will be printed. So to get to the page layout, it's not really this page layout here menu. We want to go to view here. And now we have our page layout. If you click on this page layout right here, now we can see how the pages are laid out and how they would be printed as pages themselves. And look at that, we have our header and we have our footer. And it's just as easy as that. And whatever we add into this header and footer, depending on which region we add it in, that's where it would stay. But it would also be in every document. The same goes with the footer. So as before, I want to make sure before I get started with anything, I want to save my document. So I can go here and hit save. I can go to File here and save, or I can just hit Control S and save. And I'll just allow it to save it in the document, and I'll call this script format, hit enter, and now I have that script format saved. The first thing I want to do is make sure that every one of my pages have, let's say, page number on there. So I want it to be center aligned, so I can go ahead and click on this center box right here. If I wanted it left aligned, I'd put it here, and obviously if I wanted it right aligned, I'd put it here. So once I click in there, it'll turn gray, but also what happens is this new menu opens up called header and footer, and I have a lot of different categories here that I can work with, but all I want is the page number. So I can do number of pages and the page number. I can do current time, file name, file path, street sheet name. I was about to say street name. I don't want to put my street name there. It's okay. Go ahead and put page number. Click on that, and you get this ampersand sign code there. What you'll see is when I click outside of here, you won't see a page number. Only because we don't have any pages. So don't let that freak you out. You might be like, oh my goodness, it's broken. We have no pages. So what we want to do is actually go ahead and add something in here. If I were to just click here and add something in here, since we're doing this film thing, I'm going to go ahead and add something like, just for starters, EXT, and I'm going to hit that, and I'm going to hit enter. Now if I go down here, you'll see it's page 1. If I were to go over here and add another page and add something inside of this page, you'll see now I'm at page 2. So it'll keep on incrementing, depending on if we have pages or if we have anything to print inside of that page. The other thing you can do is, if you don't just want this to say 1, there's another way we can actually format this. Now you notice right now I'm in this page view, but I'm not in the edit mode for the header and the footer. When I click on the header and footer again, this menu will pop up, but that doesn't mean I'm currently in that menu. Right now it took me back to the home ribbon, so I can go ahead and click back onto that, and I can add more attributes to this. One thing that you want to be aware of though is that you can add on to this, so it doesn't just say page, so it doesn't just say 1. You can say 1 of a certain number, and you can actually type that in here. But let me show you a better way to do this. If I go here to page layout, inside of the page layout, it's gray right now because I'm in edit mode for this footer. So I'm going to get out of that edit mode. And then I'm going to click on this little page setup button right there. And now here I can go inside of the header and footer, and I can literally add a format here. So I can go here and add page 1, sheet 1, sheet 1, page 1, let's say. So it's the sheet name, and I can just hit page 1 or page 1 of a certain number. So I can click on that and click on OK. And now you see it automatically formatted it for me. And that will remain in all of the footers. The same thing goes with the header. If I were to go ahead and add something here inside the header, I click on that header, and if you notice, because I clicked off of the header and the footer before, I'm still in the same ribbon file menu, or the menu that I was in before. So don't let that confuse you. Always remember, just because you click in here, while that menu, this menu will open up, this ribbon will open up, or this tab will open up, that doesn't mean you're currently inside of that tab. You see the underline here. I'm currently inside of this tab. So I would have to click on that tab in order to get there. And here, what you can do is you can put the file path so people can know where this document was. You can put the file name, the sheet name. You can even put the current time and the current date. I'm going to go ahead and put the current date here like that, and click out of there, and the current date will be on all of my documents. And you want to fool around with these to see what you like and what you want to use. And remember, you can add on to this. If you just wanted to type this out yourself, you can. And you can see that worked because there's one page. And if you wanted to add things in the middle of this, text in the middle of that, as you can see, that also works. So I can do that. Then click out of there, and there's the number of pages. And that will be on every document that I work with. And you see here, it automatically added that page too because I added some text in there. If I take that out of here, it's a blank page. So really, I only have one page. So now what I'm going to do is change this sheet to film script. And I can now start editing what I have over here to over here. So I'm going to format this to look like this over here. So I'm going to, let me zoom in to this a little bit. And this will be my header. Or it would be my header, or what I can do is I can make this my script name that would be in the header. So let's say, all right, there we go. And that will remain throughout all the other headers as I move through. You can add pictures in here. You can add logos in here. If I were to select this and go here to the header and footer, as you can see, I can add a picture in there if I wanted to. It's pretty straightforward. But we're not really going to add pictures to this. So here I have this, and I am going to stretch this out just a little bit. Something like that. And then I can go ahead and start typing that. Exactly what I have there, my script header. And then I hit enter. So when I'm navigating this, enter will bring me down, and tab will bring me across. And then I can use the arrow keys to bring me up, and left key to bring me down. But a lot of times when you're typing, you want to be able to hit the enter key to go to the next row, and the tab key to go to the next column. If I were to hold shift and tab, I can go backwards. So shift, tab will bring me over. Shift and tab will bring me backwards. Enter will bring me down. And shift and enter can bring me back up. So that's just some navigation shortcut keys that you can use when dealing with Excel. We'll talk about more of that later. But for right now, let's go ahead and finish this script. So I have this text here, and that's going to be right under, except I want it to scroll all the way across. So I'm going to merge this cell right here, all the way over, all the way till it hits to the end of the page. I'm going to merge that. So I highlight it all, and then I go up here to align inside the Home tab in the alignment group, and I'm going to click on this little merge and center button. Now all of that becomes one cell. Inside of this cell, it's centered. So if I were to start typing in here and then I were to get out of that, you see it's centered. But I don't really want it centered. So I'm going to select this cell. And I'm going to go up here to the Align tab again and left align it. And I'm going to want it to be at the top. So left align at the top. So if I were to stretch this out a little bit, you'll see it remains at the top. If I would have had it the way it was before, it would have remained in the center. So I want it there at the top. Now I can go in here and I can just basically type this information inside of here. Whatever your information is. This is and then we have that. And then if I have any sort of dialogue, I'm going to go and add that center. So right now what I have is this long one that goes all the way across. And if I look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I can go over here 1, 2, 3, 4, because actually this is 10. This is actually taking on 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the fourth one would actually be 5, because this is 2. So I'm going to highlight that one and I'm going to merge that. And then I can go ahead and add my character here. And now I can add my character dialogue. So I don't want that to go all the way across, as you can see there. I want that to go something like this. And then I can merge that. And from there, I can add some actions. So after the character says their dialogue, and I'm going to expand this dialogue a little bit more than this, so that way I have some space there. And I'm going to merge that. And I'm going to make sure the dialogue is left centered. And I'm going to make it at the top. Now, you see, if I didn't want this, I can undo that merge by selecting that cell and selecting merge again, and it'll put everything back to the way it was, you see. But I wanted what I had, so I'm going to hit Control Z to undo it till I get back to where I was. So after that, I'm going to add an area here that represents the this area will represent the action that we see here. Again, I go ahead and merge that, left align and to the top, and I can just put now, of course, yours won't say actions descriptions. You would actually put your information there. The same thing that goes here. And in fact, you can do it exactly like what I'm doing as a template, and then basically copy that template onto the other pages. I'll give you an example of that in a second. And so finally, I want some sort of, so what's happening in this panel? Okay, so that's this one right here. If you look at that, that's the shot header, okay? So we have our scene header, which is this. We have our actions, which is here, okay? And then we have our dialogue, which is what we did there. We have our dialogue there. And now we want our actions description. I'm sorry, we want our shot panel, okay? So I'm gonna go here and add a shot panel, and that's pretty straightforward, except I want some more room for that shot panel. Shot panels aren't supposed to be that long. You can have shot panels here on the left-hand side, and you can also have shot panels on this side as well. Go here and merge that. Left align and at the top, and so now that we have everything in place, if we wanted to use this to, let's say, add to our script, to add more to our script, we could basically just copy, right? Copy paste. So I select this cell and I hit Control C to copy, and then I can just paste it here and change the information from inside of that cell. Okay. And then from there, I can copy this and I can select the cell. You notice I don't have to select the entire row. I just select that one cell, hit paste, and it automatically pastes it the same as this was. The same goes here. I can select all of this. Control C to copy, and I'm going to select it right there, and I'm going to hit, well, I'll go down one, Control V to paste. And now I can use each one as a template and then just start typing in there as I would anything else. So let's say you wanted more than just one line up here, but you didn't want it going all the way to the end. You wanted a new line to go down here. I'm going to drag this down here, put my mouse in between this row and that row, and you'll see the mouse change. That allows me to drag the size of the cell down. So you go in here, I double click inside of there to go into the edit mode, and if I were to hit something, if I were to type something here, and then I would hit enter, it automatically jumps out of that cell and goes to the next row. But that's not what we intended. We actually wanted it to go down to the next line. You hold Alt down and you hit enter, and then you're at the next line. So now we have our description, we have our character dialogue, we have everything we need to go ahead and start our script. We got a few tips that'll make us more productive. And we all should understand that when we are typing inside of something like this, that it automatically has the word wrap selected a lot of times. And if it doesn't, for instance, I'm selecting this cell. You notice this over here inside of the Home tab, this word wrap is not selected. So if I were to double click in here and start typing, now it looks like it's going to the next line, right? And when I click out of that, it goes all in one line, and it'll just keep on going to an eternity. So this is where word wrap comes in. Select that cell, click word wrap, and then it'll automatically just wrap around to the size of that cell and continue on that way. This is another thing you want to be aware of. And finally, if you want to bold your text or anything like that, like you want to make this bigger and underlined, you select the cell, and then you can hit bold inside of the Home tab. Hit bold and change the size, just like in Word. It's no different. You can change this. You can change the text itself. There was an aliens right there. That's perfect. And you can do that for all the other ones. So if I were to select this, I can take what I did here and automatically apply it to this by selecting this. Oh, and I have a misspelling there. So I can take this and apply it to this by selecting it and going to the Format Painter, select it once. Now you notice these ants show me that this was selected. They look like ants going around. And then all I got to do is click on where I want that same format to be. So this is why I spend so much time formatting it the way I want it. So that way I can just click on what I want to format that same way. Let's try that again. If I have this selected, I'm going to click on this Paint Formatter, Format Painter. And then let's say if I wanted that to be that same way. And I can do that all throughout my document without actually having to redo all those things that I did. If I have many things that I need to format paint, let me undo this by hitting Control Z. Let's say I wanted to do this and without having to keep going back and forth. I'm going to start over again. Control D to deselect that. Control D. Oops, sorry. Control D. There we go. To deselect it. Now I'm going to select it again, start all over, select it again, and hit the Format Painter, but this time I'm going to double click it. 1, 2. Now it'll stay there until I can just keep on clicking whatever I want until I hit the Escape key on my keyboard. Now I'm out of the paint selector. So the first one we selected once, we can do one at a time. If we hit double click the paint selector when we have something selected, we can do multiple things. So that's enough information for you to have your script ready. You created a script format inside of Excel. You can actually print this out. You made a header and a footer with pertinent information in there. And hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll see you guys next time.